Welcome. Today I'm talking about Marathon, the reveal, the backlash, and why I'm all in on this game. To start this, we have to talk about what Marathon is. Marathon is the newest first-person extraction shooter by Bungie, the same people who made Halo Combat Evolved through Reach and both Destiny titles. Marathon is a sequel to the trilogy from the 90s, and more specifically a sequel to the first game, Marathon Infinity. I won't get too much into Infinity, but its story directly links to Marathon 2025's story and world. Anyway, Marathon had its reveal and the response was very mixed. Some people love it and it seems majority disliked it or show no interest for reasons like its overused art style or generic slop. However, in my opinion, I don't think either of these arguments apply. The game's art style is so clean, it's nice to look at, and the aesthetic of the game complements its art perfectly. Generic slop is such a poor excuse. I cannot see how this is generic. As already stated, it's a unique art style, but even past that, I can't think of any sci-fi extraction shooters out there, let alone ones that support console. Either way, Marathon has had my entire attention, if not for the art style, the characters, if not the characters, the factions, if not the factions, the gunplay, and if not the gunplay, well, you get the idea. Speaking of gunplay, Bungie is renowned for its great gunplay, from things like how the battle rifle feels to shoot in Halo 2, to how smooth the hand cannons fire in Destiny. The Bungie gunplay alone is a reason to get in on Marathon. Not only that, but Bungie's world building is truly great. There's a reason that over 10 years later, Halo 3 is still in the conversation for one of the best stories, let alone the 25-year-old Halo Combat Evolved. If you want more recent examples, look at the Witch Queen DLC or the Final Shape DLC for Destiny. They are both insanely great stories. Speaking of Destiny, that world was built up over 10 years. Don't get me wrong, it had a few misses. I mean, we all remember Lightfall. However, the world building by Bungie is absolutely phenomenal. Pretty much immediately got interested in Marathon after its announcement in 2023. I went back and watched multiple lore videos, and all I need to know is what's going to happen next. Everything I've seen about Marathon story-wise has me hooked. Either way, for me personally, Marathon has me in a chokehold. Every small detail about the game has me interested, and to be honest, when I first saw it, I wasn't really on board. However, I watched a ton of videos from other creators, and instead of seeing what Bungie gave us, what wasn't exactly great gameplay, I went out of my way to watch other people's experience. And there's two that really convinced me. One is by Drewski. I will have a link to his video in the description. And I have another one will be linked by Scarrow9. Drewski's video is mainly for the gameplay aspects. I think actually seeing how PvP is going to function, even PvE in that game, was really, really nice. Seeing combat go from start to finish, seeing how different characters' abilities work, seeing how the gunplay feels, seeing how different attachments make the complete game changes on certain weaponry. And Scarrow9's video is essentially a start to finish run. There are a couple crops in the video. He explains it in his video. I'm not going to get into it too much. However, that is another video that really sold me on it, because you don't really think about it much. You know, we saw the gameplay from Bungie, what did look pretty interesting. There's no denying that, don't get me wrong. However, it was almost a day and night difference. Seeing Bungie's gameplay, what was very, how do you say it? I guess it was very scripted. Every single gunfight felt like it was just purposely placed there. Same with the trailers. They had this thing what Mr. Waffles Milo refers to as the Call of Duty trailer guy, or something along those lines. But it's essentially the guys in the COD trailers just play very, very weirdly, not like how you would actually play the game. And it seems like Bungie has taken a slice of the Activision pie in their Marathon trailers. So I can't exactly say I'm surprised that with what gameplay has been showcased and the trailers, people aren't that exactly interested, because you're not seeing anything of the core game itself. However, as I said, Scarrow9's video is a brilliant example of a start-to-finish run. You get to see who the person who's playing complete an entire contract. You get to see them get into multiple player skirmishes. You get to see them do open world activities, extract, pretty much everything. Looting. It looks genuinely amazing. It is a really, really good video, and I do genuinely highly recommend going to watch that one. Same with Drewski, as I already mentioned. He talks more about it and specifically focuses on PvP, as he is a Destiny 2 PvP YouTuber. However, that doesn't take away that that video also shows a lot of other stuff. He's also playing with two people that are great Valorant players, Tens and Kaide. If you're a Valorant guy, you definitely know both of those names. However, essentially, Tens was a professional Valorant player for the team Sentinels, #SenCity. It is very, very interesting to see how pretty much your average to higher end, well, I'll say middle high end to higher end gameplay in Marathon is going to feel in PvP. They showcase it very, very well. It looks really, really fun, and I do genuinely, as I've already said about 7 times, recommend watching both of those videos. Anyway, what I'm getting at here is that I will be covering Marathon, at least during the betas and full release. I am UK based, so I can't get into the alpha, unfortunately. However, this game really does have me hooked, as I've already stated. The universe, as I've already said, pretty much everything I've already said is reason upon reason upon reason upon reason as to why I want to get in and I want to stay in Marathon. And I already have a bit of a extensive history with Bungie. I mean, one of my, like, I'm 22. One of my, like, not like core memories, but something that always sticks in my head was around when I was like 5 or 6, and I was sat with my dad and he was playing Halo Combat Evolved, specifically the mission actually titled Halo, and he activates the light bridge, and just that entire scene is just ingrained in my mind. I have been playing Halo pretty much since the exact minute I could pick up a controller. I have been glued to those games. I mainly played an absolute metric ton of Halo Reach. I did play a lot of Halo 3 as well. I unfortunately wasn't alive during the peak times of like Halo 2 and Halo Combat Evolved. Or I was very, very young. Like, even with Halo 3, like, I just went back and played that. Anyway, I love Bungie's Halo games, is what I'm getting at here. I even go back every year, and I play through every single one of them. I go into the Master Chief Collection, I do canonical, I go from Reach to CE to 2. In the middle of 2, I stop playing it so I can go do the entirety of ODST, then I come back and finish 2, then I do 3, and then I eventually do 4, what's a 3 for 3 title, and then 5, and then Infinite. I don't do any of the other spin-offs because I just don't, to be honest. I have, literally on my desk, to my left, the Xbox 360 Halo Reach Special Edition. The one that features all of, like, Halsey's documents. Oh, it's the limited edition, rather. Not special edition. Anyway, you get the idea. Behind that, I've got a poster, a Destiny 2 Forsaken poster, that is so old, it still says Activision on it. Not even that. If we're talking about old posters, hang the flub. Right behind me, on my wall, I've got a poster. It's a Halo 3 one featuring the Arbiter and Master Chief. And if you have this, you also bought the Steelbook Halo 3. Actually, well, I didn't buy it. I think my dad bought it for himself, and eventually I got given it over time. However, I own that, is what I'm getting at. And I already said about Destiny. I've basically been playing that game since Destiny 1 release. My first ever character in the beta was a Titan. I am a proud Hunter one-trick now, I will say. Although, with that said, I haven't really played it that much recently. However, I did play it from, essentially, Destiny 1 beta all the way through the final shape. I've completed that. That was 10 years long, for example. And I think if any studio has the power to do that again, to create a story so intriguing it lasts over 10 years, it's Bungie. Why? They've already done it twice. Anyway, this universe has me absolutely hooked. Everything I know about the story, factions, characters, weaponry, everything has me hooked, and I absolutely will be covering this going into the future, as I am a fan of extraction shooters as well. I really, really enjoyed my short time with DMZ in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. However, I have always been itching for another extraction shooter, and the fact that it's a Bungie extraction shooter, so it's gonna have extraction shooting mechanics, and that it's going to be complemented by Bungie gunplay and Bungie storytelling is just... it's just a mixture of pure excitement. Not, as I've already said, the art style and everything else also has me hooked, but it's mainly those factors. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That is pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Thank you for watching. I'm going to have those links to Drewski and Scarrows9's videos below. Please go and check them out if you have any interest in this game. They will improve your opinion dramatically. Bye-bye.